industries into Park Heights, into Cherry Hill, into Westport, into East Baltimore, so that we can build an economy in those neighborhoods that will create the jobs that the people need. The problem we have in the city is that we have, for too long, we have invested the money down by the water, land down by the water. And we've done that decade after decade after decade. And until we change that, we're never going to be a great city. Park Heights does have Pimlico Racetrack. That's a major asset, but it's part of the village system that we would look at, how we build an economy that matches the needs of the people in the city. The industries we're going to bring to Park Heights and other neighborhoods will be industries that map to the existing skill set of the existing workforce. Why is that important? It's important because we got to give people the jobs right away.
Sheila Dixon.
So, Mr. Wallace, obviously you don't know what's going on in Park Heights. Park Heights Renaissance was created. And the Park Heights Renaissance was created to do exactly what the question that Jane Miller has asked. It was because there were a lot of different plans that took place in Park Heights over the years. And those plans were just on paper, in books, fancy. But it was the Park Heights Renaissance that was created back under the O'Malley and the Dixon administration that then created a board to, one, look at human development issues first. Because if you don't clean up a city, you don't clean up an area, and you don't deal with human development issues, jobs, etc., then they went to the next phase of economic development as relates to removing some of the vacant properties and beginning to create opportunities. That's why there are new apartments that have been created. There's a housing that are going to be coming up. And they have another piece that is going to be like a Main Street, where they're going to be working with businesses to help them to expand as well as redevelop. But the key is, and this is where some of the funding that Mayor Scott has been giving out to different groups, instead of looking at what's already going on in the city, ARPA was a great funding source that should have gone into Park Heights to help redevelop some of the housing development that's taking place. So there's land right now that developers, African-American developers, that need in order to move that process forward. So there's a lot going on, and I'm going to continue to build on that. The Zeta Center would not have happened if it wasn't for Mayor Dixon, who came up with the money to help the Zeta. I can go on and on. You're going to have a new library. You have the money right now for a new police station that has been sitting on the mayor's desk. That's going to be on Park Heights, up here in the Park Heights community. So there's a whole plan. But the other piece too is people have to be engaged and involved in the process and participate in that. And I'm not telling you any fairy tales, I'm telling you facts.
Okay, you have 30 seconds.
Here's my rebuttal. This is what politicians do. They tell you about what they did some time ago. The question is, open your eyes, open your ears. Believe what your eyes are telling you. Are your lives better? Is it better? Has it made your life better? So don't fall for this okey doke. It's an okey doke of what we used to do, didn't do, that do. It means nothing until the people's lives are changed. That's what matters.
All right, Mr. Freeman. Same question about Park Heights.
Thank you for the question. First and foremost, is as a kid growing up in the city, first of all, I'm sorry, this is what we say, meet the phones. But when growing up in the city, going to Pimlico, going to the racetrack, for one, it's no reason why we have that venue and it's only used once a year. And then we have a problem what we call illegal dirt bikes. Instead of criminalizing dirt bikes, why don't we give them that field opportunity to have them a safe place to ride their bikes in? But not just that. There's no reason why this one racetrack brings in millions of dollars, and it's no investment in this community. That has to change. But not just that. The police, right? It's 700 police when Pimlico racetrack is here, but when you call the police, it takes 2 hours for them to come to your home. That's the issue. So as Mayor Freeman, I'm going to make sure that the money that we generate from that goes back into the community, but it's going to be with the community input because community ownership. That goes into the food desert issue. We're going to build corner markets in the city of Baltimore. We have 14,000 vacant houses. Baltimore, we own 1,000 of them. We're going to take the 1,000 that we own in East, South, and West Baltimore and make corner markets so that you can have fresh food, vegetables, and meats that you can get. But not just that, you're going to have ownership. The city's going to own half. You're going to own the other half in the communities to keep the money in the communities. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what I'd like to do, because we're coming up on the end of the segment, is I'd like to ask a question and you get 1 minute to answer. And then we're going to follow that with closing statements of 1 minute. Okay? Okay, so here's the question. What can be done to improve both morale and efficiency among the city's workforce and to fill vacancies? Sheila, we'll start with you. 1 minute.
Leadership, accountability, a vision, engagement from those employees, as well as bringing in partners outside of the city to work with us. It's time for city government to come back to work. It has not been at work. I know people like working from home, but it's not benefiting the citizens of Baltimore.
Let's go down the line. Go, Mr. Freeman.
So can you repeat it one more time, Jay? I'm sorry.
To improve morale and efficiency among the city's workforce.
Again, you know, COVID is over. People got to get back to work. You know, we get the dirtiest city in America. We have potholes that are not getting fixed, that are messing up my axle every time I drive down the street. That's an issue. So people got to get back to work. It's just that simple. If you don't want to work, we're going to find people that's going to work and that's going to do the job effective and efficiently.
There's no cure. There's still no cure. COVID ain't over. There's no cure.
As a Baltimore teacher and an employee of Baltimore City, I appreciate when I'm asked what needs to be done and what could help your job be performed better. So we need to get more input and listen to what employees need. And that could help with morale. And then one thing that we can do to try to get more employees is to work again with our city schools by having internships. We can work with the fire academy. We can work with the police department and give jobs to people, let them explore them, like Department of Public Works. And we can do a pipeline from our high schools to the jobs here in Baltimore City that we need to fill.
As your mayor, I will use the same approach to managing the city that I use to run my businesses and to raise my 5 children and 11 grandchildren. And it's 3 principles: integrity, intelligence, innovation. The CEO of any enterprise sets the stage for the organization. If I'm operating with integrity, intelligence, and people who are leading, people who are following in this city, and innovation. And if we do that,
Okay, closing statement, 1 minute. It's the next student start right down the line.
In my this opportunity, we have every ingredient to be a successful city. City great. And I believe that when we work cohesively together, that's going to make an impact. I know what it takes to run city government. I was born and raised here in Baltimore. I'm able to travel all around the world. I didn't move to Ellicott City. I didn't move anywhere else. I stayed here in the city. I raised my children in the city. I know what it takes. And I know that Mayor Dixon is going to make this city not only successful, but it's going to get cleaner because it is a dirty city. We're still a violent city. Our school system is still horrific. And I believe that it's my leadership, my vision, and working cohesively across this city with every community that we're going to be a great city. In 10 years from now, people are going to be coming to Baltimore saying, what did you do to make the city better? Thank you.
It was. It was. Amen. Let's go, Sheila.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Pastor. I don't know where you went out, but thank you for having me. You know, this election is so crucial. I'm a father of 2. I have a 7-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. So education reform is my top priority. I'm sorry if you like Dr. Sansalisa, she has to resign. I'm sorry. We're gonna work to get her resigned, and we're gonna replace the school board because enough is enough. And in order, 25% of people live in poverty. We have 30% of people who don't have a vehicle. 2/3 of people live in a food desert. 80% of crime that happens in 25% of our neighborhoods. It's time for fresh leadership to move our city forward. How long are we going to keep letting the city hall pool dictate our city future? How long are we going to keep letting, what's going on determine our future and where we go as a city? We need change. I'm the change and move our city to the future. We really got 3 options, and I'm the best option tonight. Thank you for your time. Again, my name is Wendell Freeman. Look me up, Wendell Freeman, because I am the future agent of the city, and I'm going to move the city to the future. Thank you very much.
Hi, thanks for having me here today. I was a director for United Cerebral Palsy and Muscular Dystrophy Association, so I bring that with me to be mayor of Baltimore City. I also am committed to problem-oriented policing. It's worked in other cities where we need to be more proactive. So in each city, we find out what is the cause of crime. Is it, and it's homelessness, it's drug addiction, it's mental health, it's food insecurity, and it's lack of opportunity. So we're going to bring hope to every area of Baltimore City. And what we have to do is work with communities and businesses and attack the issues that cause crime. Because when you do that, when you look at what causes the crime, you prevent it. Rather than being inactive, we want to be proactive. And another thing that really I can bring to the city is that as a teacher and as being raised by my mom was also a teacher in Baltimore City, and my dad went to Merville. Okay, can't say anymore. But anyway, I'm a graduate from Coppin too.
How many of you here watch Fox 45 News?
Not me.
Okay. And when how do they lead into the news? But when it pertains to Baltimore, city in crisis. Every day, every night, Baltimore, city in crisis.
So why would you watch that?
I used to resent that. But then I looked deeper into it, the word crisis. What the word crisis means? It means 2 things. It means danger and it means opportunity. So the question for us as a city is, which part of that word are we going to embrace? The danger or the opportunity? Beloved, your choices here are really simple. You got 3 choices. You can either choose to go back to where it used to be, and somehow that was all great and fine and running dandy. Good luck to you on that one. Or you can choose to accept what you have today and assume that's the best that we could do as a people and as a city. Or you can say, I'm going into the future. I hope you go into the future.
All right, thank you all. We'll introduce our next panel in a few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this I got. Hold on.
Yay. All right, so we still have more candidates for you. So
Wow,
next
it's not over.
is Yolanda Pulley, Texas Brown, and Joseph Scott. If you all can make your way to the
You
table.
got a card? I think I got one too in my wallet.
If you make your way to the table, we will go ahead and get started with the next round of candidates.
You see one? That's a card.
Oh,
And then
I just seen a red in here.
Yeah. Ain't none of these. Stand them up. And look behind my passport. Or on this side.
Candidates, if you could
We're
go
looking
ahead
for
and
a
take your
card.
seat.
Yeah, I'm just right next to his radio and. Oh, you got that?
I think.
Shoulders. I'm gonna be right here. No, it's just been hurting all day.
All right, let me just write it.
Yes. Yeah.
What you say?
And then the email. And you can put our phone up into here. Info at Big Food Radio. Info at Big Food Radio. This is the city council people.
And what's the number?
410-67.
Okay, y'all want to take your seats? We'll get, started with our next panel of candidates for mayor.
977. 9779. And you can tell you right there that it's going to be exposed right on Facebook page.
Okay.
So on Facebook, YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and get started with our next round of candidates. If you are
Real quick. You're
able to go
welcome.
ahead and take a seat.
Hi,
You are having
guys. I know you're not
conversations,
seeing me.
you
Come on,
can
do
move
my
to the back
platform
of the
chat
room so that we can respect the current
Oh, I
candidate.
forgot to tell you
and
that
that's
name.
be able, prepared to answer the
Chanty,
same
my
questions
you better
for you.
live. We are at the mayor forum. I know y'all used to see me sitting on the table on the mic, right?
Okay.
I had to come out here
Are you all
and
ready to
get
go?
this information for y'all. So I'm bringing you all live because this is definitely a
Okay, so
what in the
We're going to start with our next panel of
Listen,
candidates for
I don't know
mayor
who
in the
these people
Democratic
is, but-
primary. I should mention there's a Republican primary too, and there are Republican candidates running.
So
So we're going to start. Introduce yourselves, please, and you have
this is city
a
council.
2-minute opening statement. Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Good evening. Mike.
You
Good
were-
evening, everyone. I'm Joseph Scott. No relationship to your current mayor.
Thank you.
I live right down the street off of Keyworth, Shirley Avenue, Park Heights. And what I want to say, I haven't heard nobody say today, is that we are in a crisis that we put ourselves in. The reason I think we put ourselves in this crisis because we got away from the creator of all of us.
Here we
The
go.
creator is the one who gives us the power to do the things that we do. And since we don't revere him anymore, since we haven't grown up with the values that our parents gave us, I'm a baby boomer. I don't know about the rest of you. Some of you might be younger than me and older than me. But I know about the values we grew up with from back in the day that we don't grow up with no more. As watching the way the children today are raised by the young parents because of the sexual immorality that I even played a part in when I was young, when I was a teenager. And being in, trying to be in on the things that went on in our neighborhoods, growing up trying to idolize the guys standing on the corner with the pockets full of money. So I know what it's like to take part in doing the drugs, selling the drugs, and wanting to know and wanting to be like the gangsters and putting the shoulder holster on my side and carrying a gun. So I understand what it's like to grow up in Baltimore and doing the wrong thing. But the one thing to save me from that was the one Lord and Savior that we all grew up and heard about, but we don't revere. So I'm letting it go now at the time when I got high and tried to get out of it. But my Lord and Savior brought me.
Excuse me, Candace. Can I get everyone's attention? If you are speaking, could you tone it down because we do want to hear the candidates. You can exit if you need to, but we need you to just take it down some so we can listen to our candidates. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Yolanda Pulley. And if you see me sitting up here angry, I have a reason to be. I'm tired of disappointment. I have been in Baltimore my whole life. And at the age of 50, I have never seen change. The same projects that we used to run in still look the same. The same walls, the same floors, the same crime, the same crime. I'm vying to be your next public servant because I should not have to sit here and convince you that you deserve better. Your children deserve to live and thrive in Baltimore City. As being a daughter of a Black Panther and a missionary grandparents, I have done nothing but fight my whole life. And even though people say, I don't know who Yolanda is, You don't have to know. Just know that I'm out here fighting harder for you than you. Just know that I'm fighting for a better Baltimore. And I know what it's like. They say, well, the top candidate is no such thing. What are your qualifications? The Board of Elections said that I was qualified. My experience come from running a nonprofit organization that's called People Empowered by the Struggle. And we do nothing but deal with trauma, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I am not a politician. I'm a people's tissue. So I'm vying to be your next public servant in Baltimore City because I believe that you deserve better.
Hi, everybody. My name is Texas Brown, and I want to be your next mayor. I am reminded in this moment to breathe because Baltimore deserves a lot better representation than what it's been getting. The fact that I've made it this far is astounding to me. When God called me to run for this position, I thought he was talking to the lady down the street. But I know that it's time to be, I'm fighting every day to be the light, the new light Baltimore deserves. I'm not easily influenced. I don't even like gift cards, and my kids are too old for children's books. It's time for something new in Baltimore City. I live in the city. I work in the city. I work at Kona Grill in a harbor. I hear what people say about Baltimore. They say Baltimore is everything but what it is. Baltimore's a great city. The only thing that's hurt Baltimore is greed, gluttony, and neglect. And under Texas Brown, we're going to have some fun in this city again. We're going to bring new life into this city. And I'm here to be better than anybody ever needed in Baltimore. Thank you.
Residents complain of poor response when they seek city services. What will you do to hold city agencies to account and to get people in the office?
And these the mayor candidates.
Say that question again.
These the other people.
Residents complain of poor service when they seek city services. What will you do to hold agencies to account and get people back to work in the office?
Well, as the mayor, he oversees certain aspects of this government. When the people in position to do the job aren't doing the job, you get rid of those people and hire new people, first of all. I'm one person who likes to know why my water bill goes up and down. I want to know everything about when I call 311 and I call my city council person, why they don't come out and do the things that they need to do. People that we put in place to do their jobs, if they're not doing their jobs, we have to get them out of their position. Because one thing I learned in this city, that this city government basically moves people up. You come in as a councilman, you move up to city council president, and then you move up to the mayor. So all they do is recycle each other around and around and around. I put it like this. How many times can you rotate your tires before you need a new set? Eventually, you have to buy yourself some new tires because those old ones, all the tread is gone. And I think the tread in this administration and some of the past are gone. So to me, there's only one person that's doing the job in our city right now, and that's Mr. Ivan Bates. So I think from the mayor to maybe the commissioner to maybe the controller, I mean, I think they all need to go because I think Baltimore City needs an audit because there's a lot of money that's mismanaged and misused and has disappeared. I mean, we don't have air conditioners in the schools. We don't have heat in the schools. We don't have books in the schools. And another thing I wanted to point out to all the citizens, how often does the city government give you what they want you to have rather than what you want yourselves to have? And I'll pass it on.
Ms. Pulley?
Thank you for tuning in tonight.
So unfortunately, you're right. People have to come to work in order to answer phone calls, especially if you said you don't want to answer a cell phone. But as my vision for mayor, we need 24-hour city hall. Certain parts of city hall, especially when it deals with trauma, needs to be 24/7, 7 days a week. Through my nonprofit organization, it's hard to see disappointment on people's faces when I have to sit up there and tell them I have to wait till the next business day or the weekend to end to get them the help and
Burned out.
services that they need. So we need certain parts to be 24/7. And just like he said, and everybody else said, you have to come to work. It's time for them to come back. COVID is over. You open schools, you opened everything. So City Hall needs to be open immediately. Thank you.
Video is.
I'm the queen of customer service. One of the things that I've done for the past 40 years is help develop and build some of the country's largest restaurant chains. And customer service is very important. I'm going to require that every office has a working phone line. And even if they say, how do we get them back to work? You know, a lot of people are still scared of COVID. Yeah, COVID is still out there, but it's not a major threat. So we can still have those phone lines ringing at home. They can work at home if we need a phone. But we're going to dedicate phone line systems to that. We're going to rebuild and rehaul all of those services that need to be answered. There's no reason for you not to be able to get a call. I am homeless in this city right now. Every service in this city has failed me, from food stamps all the way down to my unemployment, which I earned. Right now, I sit before you, a homeless, unemployed public figure running for mayor of Baltimore City. But we've got to be able to fix those systems. We have to rebuild them and re-educate. And I have helped develop, I have trained thousands of people in my career. And so we're gonna make it better. You're gonna be like, oh, we got a phone answer. Somebody answer the phone. But I promise, my commitment to the citizens of Baltimore is that you'll have better opportunities to be able to get your services addressed to you.
The city is seeing significant reductions in gun violence. Do you support the current administration's current initiatives to sustain it? Or do you think the city needs to go in a different direction? Mr. Scott?
Well, first of all, I don't think that stat's really all that true, because they say homicides are down. To my knowledge, that's just that that's people dying from getting shot. People are still getting shot.
Okay.
You know, so, and you take credit on people not dying from getting shot, but the guns are still out there. The people that shoot them are still out there. And there should be a blanket around this city to be able to catch the criminals. As far as I'm concerned, the reason we don't have the police force we don't have is because they haven't been trying to hire the police. If drug dealers and all people commit crime, let's say I'm a police right now and there's a crime going on there right there and all I do is sit here. Why is that? I've never known police to not address crime, because from what I've heard from, I ain't gonna say I heard it from Mr. Ivan, but I know he tried to bring the laws back for all the lottery and all the low-level crimes that we couldn't get away with, when I was a kid, that our past district attorney got rid of, and everybody said that's gonna elevate the crime, which it did. Now he's doing everything to help us, but our mayor is stopping the commissioner and the police from doing the things they need to do. The reason we don't have the police, we have the money. And I heard earlier, yeah, we can build another police academy, but they don't, because I'm telling you now, City Hall has an agenda that we all are unaware of. You won't know it until me or someone else gets in there to explain to you everything that the city is doing that you don't know about. Now, I heard them talking about this land around here, Park Heights. You may not know that Sinai is trying to get a lot of this property because they want to be the next Johns Hopkins and University of Maryland. They're in a battle with Pimlico because Pimlico wants hotels and stuff around here. So a lot of you who live around here, you're about to be displaced. If you don't know it, they try to tear down all the projects, tear down Alpha Gilmore, tear down the other part, what's going on Drill Hill. They are trying to displace us. If you know it or not, when you hear all these we buy your houses, have you ever known this to be going on in the past years? They are trying to move us out. Big business owns this city.
Mr. Scott, I think you're at time. Ms. Pulley?
Can you repeat that question?
The question is, city has seen significant reductions in gun violence. Do you support the administration's current initiatives to sustain it, or does the city need to go in a different direction?
Jane Miller.
I definitely think that we need to go somewhat in a different direction, a GRVS or whatever they're called. They should not be a part of the
11,
police
but
department. It needs to be an outside entity. Police
she
need to
is
be
retired,
police.
right?
They need to be who they are.
But she,
and
she was
laundry
a
need
former
to be who they
reporter
are.
for WBAL. She's
But
kind
they
of
should
here
not be dictating police business.
hosting this foreign.
I feel like, just homicide.
Just say you don't know.
I mean, shootings is nothing but a failed homicide. So just because you have a victim of a crime that's been shot does not mean that their trauma goes away. It means that we're creating potential more shooters. How do we deal with that problem? We're dealing with children with guns. I don't feel like homicides are down because, because people start shooting. I just feel like children have more guns in their hands than books, and they're missing their intended target. So we need to create programs to go after juvenile gun offenders and create and implement that into the police department and not have the GRV or whatever they are run our police department.
GVRS, Group Violence Reduction Strategy. Go ahead.
I think that we need to spend a lot of time rebuilding our communities with the people in the communities. We're seeing, we may have seen a lot of less deaths. But I attribute that to the fact that we have a strong leadership in our state's attorney's office, who's someone who's actually getting some results. But with me as your mayor, we're going to continue to look at what really helps rebuild our communities again. Our youth, I'm here for our youth. Our youth need to learn how to build their own businesses. We need to put money back into our communities. We have to rebuild them. And the only way we're going to do it is with the people that is in them. We got to continue we've got to continue to work together in our communities to watch and build our communities the way we want them to be. And I think it's going to take all of us to continue that downward spiral, finding where the guns are and getting rid of them, finding a better way to do things in the city, a new voice, a new look, a new sound, a new feel with everything that we do.
Vacant housing has plagued this city for many years. What would you propose to mitigate the number of vacant houses?
Simple, tear them down. They should have been gone, but there's a reason why they haven't been torn down. I don't know what it is, you don't know what it is, but this current administration knows why they haven't torn down those houses. I keep telling you, Baltimore has an agenda that we are unaware of. And if you vote for the same administration that we have now, you may find out in the next 4 years, and it won't be to our benefit. And a lot of times I think that we have put ourselves in a situation where we talk about voter registration. We need more voter education. We need to know who we're putting in office and where they stand, because I see no integrity in our current administration. Like I said, they don't give us what we need. They give us what we think we should have. And I'm sick of that. And I know that if you're not a servant as you should be, that's what you're supposed to be when you're in public office. One who serves the people and do everything that the people need, not what you want to give them.
Okay, so that's Mr. Scott. No relationship to our current
So
mayor,
we know about the generational
Brandon
curse that's been
Scott.
plagued in Baltimore City, and how
That's
we
about
had
really
our
the first thing that he
settlers migrate
said
from
that
the
I can
south
kind
up
of
here for a better
agree with.
opportunity.
He's been all over the
We're
place, but
never
again,
afforded the
I'm
opportunity
really
to thrive in
appreciating these
Baltimore City.
candidates'
So my plan for vacant
passion.
houses is reparations. It's time for Black people to own their house and their land. We all know that if you're not a homeowner, they do not consider you a taxpayer. So that means that you cannot hold your local officials accountable for their actions. So my plan is to give out housing, reparations through housing to make more homeowners, because people tend to care about what they own, not about what they rent. Thank you.
You know, my main goal is to help rebuild Baltimore. And all of these vacant houses, I think that we need to partner with the people that either own them, to revitalize them, find a way to make a business out of them, find a way to reuse them. We have all these companies that, I mean, all these different people that want to come in and buy, but we don't have a grocery store that's owned by people that live in Baltimore. Instead of just tearing them down, we need to rebuild them and help the people of Baltimore be able to own those businesses and make an agreement with them that, hey, we help you build this up. You're going to pay for that over time with your business, but then at the same time, you'll own something. You'll have something of your own. And you get to revitalize your neighborhood. I think we need more Baltimore-owned millionaires than we do coming in and buying up Baltimore. We have to look at us as a revitalization. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry. I have MS, and it's like taking a knock to the head. So sometimes things don't come out right. So I appreciate
Now,
you
Miss
so
Texas
much.
done told us too
But
much.
yeah,
She done told us
vacant
about her
houses,
homeless.
we're gonna do something new.
Now
See
she,
some pretty
you
stuff in
dealing with too
Baltimore.
much, girl. Get yourself together, queen,
What
and then
can
come back.
candidates do to bring to Baltimore City a civil rights museum?
What?
Nothing.
What
like
would you
to
do
tell
as
you-
mayor to bring to Baltimore City a civil rights museum?
In my opinion, that question can't be answered right here at this time, because the way things are set up in this city, it seems as though big business has bought off the city. That's why if you notice how often things don't get built, but they get tore down, there's plenty of areas in this city that been vacant for 40 years. You wonder why something hasn't been built? Because there are people that won't allow you to build because Baltimore City doesn't own anything anymore. They basically sold out. So for that to get built, oh, you probably have to get this certain contractor to do it, or you will not get the permits. So someone has got to pay somebody off to get the permit to build it. So I could tell you right now, oh, we're gonna build it in 2 years. I could become your mayor. And then when it don't get built, I have to come back to you and tell you a reason why. So I can't tell you when or why or how it was gonna happen unless I'm in office to tell you what's really going on behind the scenes in our city government. Because there are things that, I'm gonna say it like this, I already know there are models of this city that, where the city is going to look 10 years from now. You haven't seen them, but you could probably go online or ask some people of how the city, they already have plans for this city of how it's going to look. So whatever you say today or whatever you think you want today, it may not never come to fruition.
What would you do as mayor to bring a civil rights museum to Baltimore?
Well, if we don't have it, we build it. That's always been my motto. We know about the Black history that's been taken from Baltimore. We know about the Freedom House, and we know about Cab Calloway's house and everything else that has been taken. It's time to put it back. And the way that you do that is you reallocate funds from within City Hall budget. We have too many mayor's office of this, that, and the third that needs to be downsized. So we downsize some offices and we create the civil rights movement within inside City Hall. Thank you.
You downsize offices, that means people get fired. Y'all clapping for firing people.
So one of the things I really want to do is help
Oh,
build
makes sense.
sustainable income that will
Makes
help
sense. You heard me?
with some of the things that we can do. I want to know right now, where's the money from the casino going? That was a promise. That never happened. But we need sustainable income to make these projects a real possibility. I would find a local Baltimore-owned contractor to figure out where we could, look at the land spaces, find out where we can build a civil. We need that in our city. And we're definitely going to do the best possible areas that people in our communities can get to. We don't necessarily need it in the Inner Harbor. We have enough in the Inner Harbor. but we need to build it in the middle of our own communities. And I do believe we have plenty of spaces that'll allow us to do that.
This will be the last question, and then we'll have closing statements. How will you protect against over-policing in Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities?
Say that one more time, Jen.
How will you protect against over-policing in Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities?
Wow. I haven't seen policing in so long, I really can't tell you what's over policing. I mean, I can go back to 2005 when we had any of y'all remember no tolerance from 2005? I got picked up for drinking a beer outside of a house. Okay, this was no tolerance. So basically, was that over policing?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. So I haven't seen that in a while. So it came and it went, just like the wind. But the only way you could do that is you have to have policies for your police department, which the policy we have now is just letting the crime go rampant. Now, whose responsibility is the police? The police, the commissioner. Who is in charge? Who is the one who governs over the commissioner? The mayor. So that lets you see why we're in the state we're in as far as the policing. It's because of the mayor. And all the money that they just, oh man, selling the conduit. But I'm just saying, Jane, I'm getting upset about that because I watch police not do their job, and you get mad at the police for not doing their job, but they're ordered not to do their job. See, that's the point. Crime is so bad in this city. If you don't move out, you deal with it. So one thing, you got to revitalize the police force. And when they talk about well, and then they want to talk about the police as being like council people. I mean, counselors. You know, I mean, police for the police. I grew up in a time where you knew the police. You know, they knew you by name, you knew them by name. You respect them, they respect you. But because of this current administration, we have no faith in the police, and I don't have no faith in this administration.
Good. Okay.
What's the question again? How do you protect against over-policing in Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities?
That's a good question. I'm with him. I've been looking at naked police force for so long. I don't even know what police look like anymore. But we were a part of the administration where the gun task trace force was running rampant in our city. And that was beyond over policing. What my plan would be is to train more Black officers that live in the community. See, people are disconnected from the police because the police are not from their community. We need to hire more of our local people to to be in Baltimore City Police who understands. We used to have officer friendlies. How did we go from officer friendlies to a rogue gun task trace force? That was just crazy to me. But that's because, again, those officers then lived in their community. Now they do not live here. They're not even from here. So we can't understand people who's not from here to understand the problems that we have in Baltimore City. Thank you.
So I am not from Baltimore. I am from Texas, and I have seen policing. I dated a Houston police officer for about 13 years. And funny thing is I used to be on the phone when he was on duty. Nobody ever knew I was there. So I've heard hours and hours of what a police officer should look like. And, you know, there's some things that have to happen. We are losing 450 police officers this year to retirement. And yes, we do need more officers. We have to do a massive hiring of police officers, even if we have to go outside of this city or this state. They will have to live in Baltimore. They cannot live in the county. I feel like if they live in the city, in their communities, they're going to do a better job. They can help bridge the gap. They're going to learn each other. I think that what happens is we forget how to just communicate with each other. So I think that a lot of our police officers are so disconnected from the people that they are serving that they don't know what a real stops should look like anymore. And I think that they're about numbers for themselves. Hey, how many did you get today? What did I do? It's never been about our communities. And I think that one thing we have to do is bridge the gap. I'm sorry. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm just grateful that we have an opportunity to make changes with our police force. And under my administration, I'm not with the okadoke. My police officers are going to do better in our communities, and that's a promise.
Okay, closing statement, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes each.
Thank you, Jane. I'm happy to meet you. Hey, Park Heights, like I said, I grew up in this neighborhood. I used to go to the Uptown when it was open. I remember how things were from the 70s to the 80s. We, as a people, we have lost our way. As I said earlier, I know what it's like to be of the world and in the world. But through my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I came about the world, and I see how I used to be. And as the Bible said, train up a child in the way of the Lord. And I think we've got away from that as a people, as when we came out of sleep. We don't have the values that our great grandmothers and our grandmothers had. We let our kids run amok. Like I said, through the sexual immoralities, we had kids at early ages, and our kids weren't raised the way we were raised, with discipline and morals and standards. But it don't mean we can't get back to that. And as far as being the mayor of this city, I can't sit up here and promise you all these things that all these people talking about what they're going to do and what they're going to do, because they don't know what they're going to do till they get in office. So until a person gets in office and has a survey of everything that's going on wrong, that's the only time you'll be able to do anything in there. And there's a lot going on in the city that is wrong. Like I say, all these politicians in our city, they just be recycled. They just move up from one stage to another stage. So really, it's probably only one councilman in my mind that's really doing anything for us, and we have a district attorney. But other than that, I think everyone in our city should go, all of them downtown, because they haven't been doing them for the past 20 years, in my opinion. So all I have to say, I'm not going to say no more about what I would do. All I know is whatever I do, it's because you asked me to do it, not because I wanted to do it for you, for my will and my will only. Thank you.
As being here my whole life, and like I said, never seen anything change. I've seen a lot of demise, but I never seen nothing grow. It's like trying to watch flowers grow in the concrete in Baltimore City, and I'm tired of disappointment. I'm petitioning to be your next public servant. This is by far the hardest interview for a job that you'll ever see in your life. And it's not easy to sit up here and tell people your plan, because people say, well, that don't seem like a good idea, but nothing else has worked. No one else has stepped up on behalf of the people. It's all about what businesses and what this, that, and the third can be done. But when did anybody come to you and ask you, how can I help? What is it that I can do to make your lives better in Baltimore? What is it that I can do in education to make education grow? Because Malcolm X said education is the passport to the future. And that's not what we're getting in Baltimore City. We get failure, we get disappointment, and we get lied to. I'm trying to put integrity and dignity back in City Hall and answer to the people. Thank you. I'm Yolanda Pulley, Mayor for Baltimore City. I'm your future people's titian, not your politician. Thank you.
We talk about why we want to run. Who will execute it the best? Who will run the city with integrity? And who will help Baltimore? You have to love Baltimore to want to help it. I'm here. I'm the only candidate in this race that has no money. I'm not even accepting donations because I'm not in it for that. I want better for my city. I want better for you. I'm here because Baltimore saved my life. In 2011, I tried to kill myself because I didn't want to be here anymore. But Baltimore saved my life. And I just want to give Baltimore the love that it deserves. I want Baltimore to be the shining star, have some of the coolest food and all the good stuff there is. But let me tell you something, honey. One thing we will have under Texas administration is a lot more love in this city. And you got to remember to say my name fast 3 times. Texas, Texas, Texas. So you know who's going to do the best, and it's going to be Texas. Now is love.
Thank you all very much. Good luck to you. Our final panel will be assembled here in a few minutes.
I feel kind of bad talking about my sad shit. Look at her. Go ahead.
If we can have Uncle Wayne, Yasani Young, and up to the stage.
Nobody left. She's holding. Nobody. Yeah.
It ain't nobody here. They left after the I guess the top 4. Chastity.
Oh, so, like I was saying, guys, I wasn't on my regular platform. I wanted to just bring it out tonight. You know, we are living. I've been covering this a little bit a couple of weeks on my show about this American candidate. I wanted to come. I wanted to see. I wanted to know what he was talking about. I did learn some things. Sheila Dixon definitely stood strong this evening that she did when I engaged with her. Stop. And Marty right now, is always in the background, right? But let's talk about these candidates. I think they are like uninterested now. Like everyone is leaving. We got Uncle Wayne, the Joe Cash lady out in Texas. I also enjoy the other lady. She did, but Marty, she's dealing with homelessness and MS. And not the joke, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that's whatever. But she's going through a lot right now. I do definitely love her drive and everything. But I don't think at this point that she is prepared to be our mayor. Uncle Wayne is definitely that guy. Yeah, I think that's. But I just wanted to come out here and the community. I thought this was interesting.
What's this, the interview? What's happening? They taking a break? Oh, I don't got that kind of power.
So thank you. I know that this is different for you guys. Come on and see me out, right? But I do plan to do even more. And then next week we're going to brief this. We gotta break it all the way down. And I'm glad that I came and I accompanied Marty out here to this just to see what was going on. It was interesting. I did feel as though I guess what they consider the top runner. I just felt like they didn't have as many questions as these individuals have, and I don't know if it was geared that way or whatever. So that was a little bit questionable. I just don't know, but I think we're ready to be up out of here. Monty, what do you think?
I was telling you where to look. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I look and I keep looking at the back of the phone. But yes, we are ready to be up out of here. You already know you better live. I am coming live every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
So I can tell you a little bit of what I think.
Okay.
I still think there is a lack of understanding when it comes to governing. And that's the problem that we're still facing with this city, that people don't understand that a mayor can't operate alone. You have to be able to convince your city council to vote with you to get things done. And if they don't agree with you, they will stop the vote or veto, or your mayor will veto it. So when you say that you could get these things done, you need to be talking and associating yourself with the other candidates as well. Because if they're not going to work with you, then it's not going to get stuff done. Yeah, you have to cultivate a whole entire relationship with your whole entire council.
You just, governor and everything like that, but it's more important. You have to watch when a lot of these prominent people who are now endorsing. I know Westmore, far as the city council did, kind of endorse Eric Costello, the same.
And then I can say this too, on another note, even when he was saying like we need to get rid of all of them, you can't talk about other people's districts.
Right.
And saying that you can get rid of other people's districts, because some of those people like their councilman,
Right.
like Brian Dorsey, that his community loves him.
Yeah.
So when you talk about getting rid of him, that's disenfranchising a whole set of electors.
We're gonna have our final panel.
But I know he is really attentive. You know what I'm saying? As much as
All right, we can make it started.
but they ready to get started. Let's see, guys. But we will
Okay, so we're gonna start
Okay.
with a 1 minute opening statement. Introduce yourself and then you have the floor.
Well, hey, Uncle Wayne, I see there's no one left excited enough for us two candidates. We are actually running for mayor too. I am Uncle Wayne, running for mayor of Baltimore City. We're going to put trade school into the city of Baltimore. Again, I am Uncle Wayne, running for mayor of Baltimore City for 2024.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for caring enough to stick around. My name is Tharu Vignaraja, and I'm running to be your next mayor. When I was 3 years old, my mom and dad crossed an ocean in search of a better life, and Baltimore gave them a chance. They found jobs here as teachers. My dad taught at Edmondson and Douglas, at Southern and Western. My mom taught at Poly and finished her career teaching at Morgan State. I went from local public schools, Edmondson Heights Elementary and Woodlawn High, to Yale and Harvard, and I came home to serve as a federal and city prosecutor, as deputy attorney general. I'm running for mayor because I know what magic lies in the future of this city. There's no city in America that has a bigger distance between where we are and where we could be. The westernmost deepwater port on the eastern seaboard, an international airport, 2 flagship law schools, 2 sports franchises that are perpetually on the brink of greatness. Medical institutions from the left of the city to the right of the city, from shock trauma to Johns Hopkins, and a location between the political and financial capitals of the world. We have everything that any city could ever want, and we have not done enough with it. Over the past 25 years, we've lost 1/4 of our population, and it's because of a lack of leadership. Tonight, we're going to talk about some of the things we're going to need to do to bring this city to where it could be. Thank you guys so much.
Let's start with that question about population loss. What would you do to try to stem the loss that has continued for 50 years?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
What would you do to stem population loss?
Can you explain that further, please?
What?
The city has lost population over the last 50 years. What would you do to reverse that?
But when they say people leave the city, the reasons that we say is really not the reason. They say it's the crime. But when you ask the people that they leave, it's the politicians. Because Baltimore is a beautiful city. They say it's the crime. We have a lot of bad things that's going on. But if you go to the inner city of Baltimore, it is a lot of talent. It's a lot of restaurants. It's a lot of beautiful things going on in Baltimore City. I'm going to show you that Baltimore has a lot to offer. We're going to change the dynamics of the inner city of Baltimore. The politician does everything for the outside of Baltimore City. It's time to come in the inner city and show what we have. I'm a mayor for the inner city of Baltimore, so we're going to bring back the inner city. The houses and everything are in the inner city of Baltimore. We're going to show you Baltimore from the inside out instead of the outside in.
Let's do it, Uncle Wayne.
There's a part of that question that doesn't get enough focus. Because we all know the city has lost population. 25% in the last 25 years. 185,000 people from 1987, when Sheila Dixon first became a councilwoman, to the present day as Brandon Scott finishes his 15th year in office. 185,000 people have left this city. But here's the part people don't say out loud. It is not white flight from Baltimore. It is black flight from Baltimore. The reality is that after Brown versus Board of Education in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, lots of cities lost people. White people were leaving for the suburbs. But in the last 40 years, it has not been the inner harbor and the downtown white L that they describe. In fact, those neighborhoods have become more prosperous, more affluent, higher population density. More people have moved into those neighborhoods. It is what people refer to as the black butterfly that has lost people, in droves. When I was growing up, I went to Woodlawn High School, predominantly black. Around the corner was Pikesville High School. Pikesville High School, when I was growing up, was 98% white, 98% Jewish. Today, Pikesville High School is 48% black. Now that's great for Pikesville High School. You know what it's terrible for? My city. Because those are middle-class black families that have been here for a generation that have left because property taxes are twice as high, the schools are no good, and crime is out of control. You can't blame those families for leaving for Towson, Owings Mills, and Pikesville, and Woodlawn, and Randallstown because they get better schools and lower crime and better taxes. And they still come here for church on Sunday, but they decided to leave for a place that treats their families better. Those are the kinds of problems we have to address. We have to fix our schools. We have to address crime. We have to cut property taxes. And Jane, the reality is that the hard part of your answer is that it's not the prosperous parts of the city that we need to fix to get people coming in, because there's already people moving into Canton and Federal Hill and Harbor East and Guilford and Roland Park. And the places that are losing people are the places that face the biggest, most acute problems. And those problems are all the problems of the mayor.
Let's talk for a second about crime. The city has seen significant reduction in gun violence. Do you, I'm not going to say do you support, do you support the administration's current initiative, which obviously includes GVRS, which we had a conversation about, Group Violence Reduction Strategy, or do you think the city needs to go in a different direction?
Look, I have no problems giving the mayor credit where credit is due. The gun violence reduction strategy is a terrific idea. It used to have a different name. It used to be called ceasefire when we used it before. It had other names before. The concept is very simple. Give folks that want a second chance and need opportunities that second chance and an opportunity, and get the folks that are part of violent gangs, that are part of violent drug organizations, get them off the streets, and don't use mass incarceration and zero tolerance. Use targeted investigations to dismantle the entire gang, get them all off the streets. The reality is, Jane, part of why I can't argue with it is because it is what we did when we got murders below 200 in 2011. It wasn't because we had more arrests, it was because we had fewer. It was because we went into certain communities, Cherry Hill, Greenmount East, where we knew violent sects of the Black guerrilla family were causing violence, and we dismantled those organizations. That is something we have to build on. But I don't want to pretend like last year was a good year. I hear the mayor in his commercials and everywhere else celebrate last year. The reality is that in every city in America, except for Washington, D.C., murders were down dramatically last year. Detroit had its lowest murder year since 1966. Philadelphia, that has a DA, a district attorney, that models himself on Marilyn Mosby. Larry Krasner is taking credit for the lowest murder numbers in 30 years. Everybody wants to take credit for something that is happening everywhere. The reality is that last year, that year that the mayor is celebrating, was the second highest murder rate in America. And we had the worst mass shooting in Baltimore history. That's not a good year to run on re-election on. That is something that we ought to be ashamed of and ought to be building off of. Yes, problems like unemployment and homicides are down nationwide. And if you're the mayor or the state's attorney or the governor or the sheriff, you're going to take credit for it. That's what politicians do. But if the rooster's taking credit for the dawn, it's happening everywhere. You don't get credit for being in the right place at the right time. Point to something that you've done, and it's not gun violence reduction strategy, because we've been doing that for years too. Uncle Wayne?
I'm still a little bit confused on this one. I don't understand how we can celebrate any. When one of us die, it's too many. So where we get to celebrate when it's 300? Is something wrong with us? If any other race would have been celebrating 300 murders a year, and we can celebrate. So when a mayor can come out and say, oh, well, it's 300, we can celebrate, we should celebrate not. I'm telling you, I'm a mayor where one is too many. We're going to try strategies that change. When you want to live, you live. This is the problem. In Baltimore, we have a problem where we don't want to live. When you get up and see what you have every day and you're facing, you don't want to live. It's time to make the change. One murder is too many. So it's time for a change. Don't say 300 is good. No, one murder is too many. Remember, just because it's black does not mean it's right. Since say 300 murders are okay. I don't care. Let's get rid of that. And let's bring up something else too. Let's give shock trauma their right, because it's the same amount of shootings, but shock trauma are saving those lives. So let's give credit where credit is due.
There is transition going on with Pimlico, just up the road. What would you do to ensure that any redevelopment of Pimlico would include community benefits for Park Heights?
Now, this is another one here. Pimlico is sitting there. It is time for us to utilize Pimlico for once and for all. Dirt bike competition. We sitting there using the police to chase our young men down the street for riding dirt bikes, which they train themselves. See, it's uncomfortable again because it's a competition that we do. But that Pimlico has been sitting there yearly. It is going to be a competition sport that we're going to do. Baltimore is going to be known for dirt bike training. We are going to, the old Social Security building that's downtown, we're going to turn it into a trade school where we're going to train dirt bike and motorcycle training. At 12 o'clock on Sundays, they will leave from there, ride all the way up to Pimlico will be our new location where we'll have competition training, where all the cities come and see our competition for Baltimore. We're going to turn it to a competition sports. So Pimlico will now be a competition sports for Baltimore City. I'm going to be a mayor where we're going to bring revenue in for what we are good at. So again, I am Baltimore City Mayor where we're going to do the changing from the inside out.
You know, this is something that where part of what Uncle Wayne said, I very much agree with, which is that this racetrack can't be a once a year event. It has to be a venue that is used all the year round. It has to be something that is open to the community the entire week and every weekend for the community to be able to do things there. And there are some terrific urban planners that are thinking about how to make that happen. The question is, how do you make sure that the community gets its share from a major investment, a major infusion of capital. One thing we have to do is not just create a community benefits agreement, that's what they're called, but actually do one that has input from the community and can enforce in the long term. What we do in this city, we've done it forever. And 4 years ago, when I ran for office, I raised a lot of money from very wealthy people. But even then, I said that the most dangerous part of TIFs is a way of giving a public subsidy to a big developer. What we did, the reason why they were so problematic was two things. One, it always felt like these public subsidies, these TIFs, were going to places that didn't need it. It was waterfront property in Harbor East or Port Covington that were getting the TIFs. It was never Edmondson Village. It was never Park Heights that did it. And the second thing that people were frustrated with is that it always felt like
kind of
the
developed in
negotiation
2011,
between the mayor and
basically
his
trying to say
donors.
that the
It wasn't
GVRS
transparent, it
initiative
wasn't
has
open to the
already been
public.
done.
If we're gonna
You
use
know, they
public
kind of
subsidies,
buried it back
and we're gonna
then.
guarantee that
There
there's gonna
actually
be
was a
community
lot of
benefits
those
agreements, we
initiatives
also
with
ought to
things
be
when Sheila was back in
open
office in
Take
2010.
Edmondson Village
Those
just
were
as an
things that
example,
she
food
was
we just made
pushing.
here. If we
I
need
do
to
recall
inject
that.
some
I looked
public
at that
subsidy
information
there,
is because
let's
she
pick
went
a
through
number,
like
$10
2010.
million. We're gonna make that
But yeah,
available for Edmondson Village.
as
Now,
far as that
we put out
initiative,
a
it
request
is
for
a very
proposal
good
for
initiative.
developers
But
everywhere
again,
to say,
when we
here's
put
what I would
things
do in
into
Edmondson
place
Village if I had $10 million. You don't
do
get
the
a
work,
special seat at the
then
table because you made
unfortunately,
$12,000 in
those
donations to the
entities
mayor.
that oversee
That's how
do
this
not
current
let
mayor's
the
work.
people
That's how Mayor
do
Dixon has
the work.
worked. There,
How I can
the
tell you,
deals that
because I worked there,
Loxahatchee did in Poppleton, the deals that Lexington Market got.
worked
You know,
with an
Holland Market
ED.
didn't get any
I'm no
ARPA funds.
longer there,
Northeast
but
Market didn't get any
yes,
ARPA funds. North Avenue didn't get any of those federal funds. Why did Lexington Market get it? It's because the major developer, Seawall Development, donated money to the mayor. And that has been happening in this city forever.
I mean everything.
Let's ask a question about city services. I've asked this question of all the candidates. How will you hold city agencies to account on their, I guess the best way to put it is the customer service front?
That's another one. That is absolutely right. The departments in Baltimore City are horrible, and it's a true fact. Customer service need to be changed. And the wild part about it is a lot of people that work for the city brag that they work for Baltimore City. That's the part. Oh, I work for Baltimore City. I've been working for Baltimore City for years. But the department that you work for is raggedy. And you brag about it. So they need to change. It needs to be young blood in these departments because these departments work in the same building, but yet they don't even know with each other. It's they're antiquated. They need to be updated. But you ready for this? The young ones know about this upgraded things, and they're not even put in there. So it's time to put upgraded systems into these departments. And I'm telling you, these departments all the way around with the city needs to be changed. But for some odd reason, these older people are running these departments and they need to change. So we're going to change it from the inside out. This is where Baltimore City has their problem coming in at. It's always people from the outside that making the decisions from the inside. Once again, Baltimore going to change from the inside out.
And I'm wondering what time they got.
So look, I don't like agreeing with my opponents too much, but Uncle Wayne is predominantly right. I would disagree seeing my mom and dad who are 86 and 87 that all the older people got to go. Okay, we obviously need to my father, when he retired, was 80 years old, and he still had another 10 years in him if we hadn't pulled him out. But the reality is that city services are profoundly broken, and you all know it, because you put in a complaint for 311, and it goes into a black hole, and then at some point, if you check, it is administratively resolved, but whatever you complained about has not been resolved, administratively or otherwise.
Yeah.
Here's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be very concrete, and I think some of you are gonna think I'm joking, and I'm not joking at all. Take potholes. Part of the solution is technology. Other cities put GPS tracking devices with gyroscopes in all of their city vehicles, and they drive the cop cars and the fire trucks and the trash trucks around town. And after about 3 months, they look for where those bumps are, right? The GPS tracker bounces and they can tell how big the pothole is and where it is. And they get a whole map of where the potholes are in the city. And then they overlay a traffic map. And then they prioritize potholes not on how many complaints they got from some wealthy person in Roland Park. They prioritize potholes based on how deep the pothole is and whether it's on a very well-trafficked street. That's the first thing we're going to do. But the second part is actually much more common sense, and it applies to graffiti, it applies to trash, it applies to all these city services and all of these 311 complaints. We're going to put on the website a pothole tracker. When you take a photo of a pothole and you upload it through 311, your camera has a geocode for that photo. And so on a map, on the pothole tracker, a pin's going to appear. And when you click on that pin, a photo is going to appear next to it, which is your photo of the pothole. But right next to that is going to appear a clock. The clock's going to start running. And after 3 days, that green pin is going to turn yellow. And after 7 more days, that yellow pin is going to turn red. Now, I don't think all of you guys are going to be home watching the pothole tracker, but I want city services thinking you are. I want them worrying that there's too many red dots on the pothole tracker. And when we resolve it, we're not just going to administratively resolve it. The person who fills that pothole, who cleans up the graffiti, who picks up that trash, is going to have to take a photo and upload it too, so you can see the before and after. We need
Great
transparency,
idea.
and we need accountability, and we need results.
Great idea.
Okay, last question, and then we'll do a closing statement. Vacancy has been an issue that has plagued the city for a long time. What would you do to reduce the number of vacant properties?
Oh, when I say trade schools in the inner city, it makes it absolutely excellent. We're going to put 4 trade schools in the inner city. The vacant houses from the city, we're going to use them to work on them. The students going to work on them: HVAC, electrical, plumbing, roofing, auto mechanic, diesel mechanic. We work on the houses for the hours in the training. So we will build the houses back up. Then we will sell the houses to the students who graduated as an incentive to finish. So now those houses that you see will be no more abandoned houses owned by the city. The students will actually own the house. So you actually got let's say the one that you would throw away that you call felonies or criminals, whatever name or titles you put on them. Now they're certified and a homeowner. You see the difference of the two? So now those are no more vacant houses. They're homeowners and they're certified. That's the difference. Instead of giving them away to other ones, we're actually doing it in the inner city. One more time, remember I said I am a mayor for the inner city. We can't keep leaving them abandoned houses to other ones. Those abandoned houses were our grandparents, remember, who left them. It is time to do something with them from the inside out. Again, I'm going to be a mayor that make a difference from the inside out. Turn the trade schools, the abandoned houses, leave nothing behind. I am Uncle Wayne running for mayor of Baltimore City.
Let's go.
If I agree with Uncle Wayne one more time, he's going to take it as an endorsement. I mean, the reality is trade schools are a critical part of this. No question about it. 100% right. And I'll just add one example about what could have been done. You know, $641 million that Mayor Scott got from ARPA funds? Let me tell you what the city of Las Vegas did. They took an abandoned Kmart, they turned it into a workforce development center, and they allowed people to come there and learn the trades. That is the kind of institutional investment you make when you're trying to build the next generation. But it's not just the workers that we need. We do need that. But we also need some specific and somewhat sophisticated ways of encouraging development in a city that is losing people. Number one, we're going to do what Washington, D.C. did. Raise taxes on blighted and abandoned property, particularly those that are held by out-of-state investors. We got hedge funds and private investors buying up vacant houses in Baltimore City. Why? not to develop it, as a tax write-off. So what we're gonna do is make it very expensive for this to be a tax write-off. Either you do something with it or you sell it to someone who will. That was what DC did. That's what Baltimore should do. Number two, St. Petersburg took properties, again, largely owned and operated by these out-of-state hedge funds in New York and San Francisco. They took ones that had unpaid excessive citations, 5 years of environmental citations because they never mowed the lawn and they got boarded up windows and doors. They took those by eminent domain into receivership and they gave them to affordable housing organizations and local developers. St. Petersburg dropped 75% of their vacant housing stock in 5 years, and they made millions of dollars in the process. And the last thing we're going to do is bring back the Dollar Homes program in a way that makes sense. You know what the mayor's proposal is? He was very excited to announce the Dollar Home program because everybody likes it. You know what you have to do to be eligible? Number one, you have to live there for 3 years. Number two, you have to have $90,000 in the bank.
What?
You know what people are doing with $90,000 in the bank? They're not buying dollar homes in Cherry Hill. So what we're going to do is this. The problem is, if you want to buy a dollar home and you want to renovate it and you don't have $100,000, you got to get that $100,000 from the bank, okay? The bank won't give you the loan because $100,000 of renovations is what it takes, but the post-renovation value of the house is $80,000. So a bank's not going to give you a loan when the post-renovation home doesn't give you enough collateral, right? It's basic math. So what have other cities done? They've done two things. Number one, the city is going to be the guarantor to that loan. Bank, we believe in this community as much as this individual does, so we'll be the guarantor on that loan. We'll co-sign it. And number two, this is what Syracuse did. They gave the extra $20,000 to fill that gap, and they became an equity investor in the home. Those are the kinds of concrete things that we got to do. And the only difference is if after 10 years you still live there, I don't need my equity stake because I got something better. I got a 10-year resident in a proper house in Baltimore.
Okay, thank you. Each have 2 minutes? 2 minutes for closing statements.
Give him water. You could have did that with a dry mouth.
Again, I've said, I'm Uncle Wayne. I'm an inside out mayor because we gotta utilize what we have. The reason why crime is so high, I'm inside out because we don't believe in ourselves. School failed me. I'm the kid in school where the teacher looked past because I wasn't a great reader or write or arithmetic. But I was good in so many other things, but school failed me. Just like school is failing so many others. But watch this. If they paid attention to the other skills that I had, I may have been more successful in so many other ways. But I know there are so many other good things going on in the inner city. It's time to give others a chance. In our trade school, it's a chance for them to use their hands-on skills. And if the trade school do it down into elementary school, those kids will get a chance to see others are doing things that they want to do. It'll get them more involved. We're losing all the way around because we're doing the same thing the old way. We're losing all the way around. So it's time to get involved with what we have. Stop throwing it away and use inside out. I am Uncle Wayne. I'm going to use the trade schools. I'm going to use the dirt bike training as a competition sport. And I got so many other plans from the inside out. Again, I'm Uncle Wayne running for mayor of Baltimore City. If you don't give me your vote, please keep me in your prayers.
That's a good line. Tomorrow night, I want to invite you all to a longer event because some of these questions require more than 90 seconds to answer. Okay, we got our volunteers. You're all invited to a reception at my home where we can have this conversation in longer terms. But I want to leave you guys with this. This is the first year that public financing has been available, which means I can't take big donations from big developers or PACs or corporations. We raised over the past 3 months more money than my two opponents combined. One of my opponents, I won't name him, had only 30 individual donors from Baltimore City. We have almost 1,000 people from all across the city that have donated $25 to $150. And that has resulted in us having a war chest to go to war with people that take your vote for granted. They always assume that because people don't pay attention, you're going to vote somebody in who's failed us because you know and are familiar with them. The last time a person from the outside became